Hi, Phil Schonberg, Fastpitch Power. The question has been asked to me many times. What do I think is the more effective strikeout pitch? The Riseball or the drop ball? Now, I'm going to answer the question as it was posed, because there are those who would believe that a curveball or a screwball, if thrown extraordinarily well, might be just as effective a strikeout pitch as a Riseball or a drop ball. But since the question was asked in context to the up-down pitches, that's how I'm going to answer it. Now, I want to preface what I'm going to say with something very, very important. And you've heard me talk about this many times. You do not have to throw the ball at 70 miles an hour and strike all of your opponents out in order to be an effective pitcher. As a matter of fact, I am of the firm belief that being able to change speeds and location, being able to hit your spots, and being able to keep hitters off balance, whether you're throwing the ball at 58 or 68, is going to make you the most effective pitcher. But the question asked is, if you are a strikeout pitcher, or if there is such a thing as primarily a strikeout pitcher in today's softball world with great hitters, which is more effective, a drop ball or a rise ball? The answer is not as simple as one might think. It's not either black or white. In order to throw an effective rise ball, you have to have tremendous spin and velocity. Think of the difference between a jet plane taking off and landing. On the way up, you need a tremendous amount of thrust, more so than you need on the way down. Thrust and velocity is what's going to get that airplane up off the ground and into the sky. You're fighting against gravity. So when we're talking about a rise ball, we're talking about velocity and spin. There needs to be a tremendous amount of spin on that rise ball when you let that ball go, in order to have that ball, as it's traveling from 43 feet away to your catcher, actually gain altitude. Some physicists will say that's not possible, and what's really happening is that the ball is dropping less than the mind's eye thinks it should, and that's what creates the illusion of a ball rising as opposed to just a high fastball. But let's, for argument's sake, say that it actually does rise. The amount of spin you need on that ball and the amount of speed is critical. And I would say, in order to be an effective rise ball pitcher, you've got to be throwing the ball at least in the mid-60s. Because to have enough velocity to get that ball actually moving upward late, when it's getting to the batter and the batter is already committed to putting her bat here and having the ball end up here, is what's going to make the difference there, and that's what's going to be the most difficult thing for a rise ball pitcher. Now, I'm not diminishing the necessity or the benefit of having a tremendous amount of spin and speed in order to throw a power drop ball. You need that. But here's the difference. With a drop ball, you are working with gravity instead of against it. So what does that mean when I'm trying to be effective as a pitcher? Because you're not going to strike out every batter with a rise ball or a drop ball, and not every one of your rise balls or drop balls or any other pitch you throw is going to be perfectly executed. So what will generally happen if I'm a pitcher and I'm throwing a rise ball and I miss it? It's flat. It's spinning in the zone. Where's it going to be? It's going to be right here. Okay? I want a rise ball to start here and end up here and have the batter commit to seeing the ball in this spot and having the ball finish in this spot. But if I miss that pitch and it is spinning in the zone without any upward movement, this is exactly where a power hitter wants that ball, so they don't have to move at all. All they got to do is put their bat on the ball and drive it. Where's a drop ball going to be when you miss it? And this is what's most important to me because, again, you're not always going to throw every pitch perfectly. Where is a drop ball generally going to be if you don't have a late bite on that ball downward in the strike zone? It's going to be on the ground because gravity is pulling it down. You've gotten your body into drop ball position. You have stopped your hand and you've come over the top of the ball, and I'm only talking about a drop ball where your hand comes over the ball as opposed to a peel drop where your hand comes up and behind it, because I don't teach that pitch, so I'm not going to be discussing it at this point in time. In order to put the kind of spin on the ball, you have to put your brakes on your pitching hand as though you're throwing a fastball and stopping and turning the back of your hand to your target, meaning that your hand is coming over the ball and putting downward spin on it. If I miss that pitch, I'm going to hit the ground. I get the ball back, I get to throw another pitch. If I miss a Riseball and it's floating up in the zone, I'm likely turning around and watching that ball go 300 feet over the fence. So when you talk about what is a more effective strikeout pitch, it's risk to reward. We talked about this in my last post having to do with a different issue, but it's risk to reward. What is my possible reward in throwing a perfect Riseball? A strikeout. What is my possible reward in throwing a perfect drop ball? A strikeout. What is the risk involved in missing that Riseball and missing that drop ball? In one case, I'm likely to have a ball that's going to be hit a long way. In the other case, I'm likely to throw a pitch that's going to be out of the strike zone, recognized as such by the hitter, not swung at all. It's a ball. I get the ball back, I get to throw another pitch, I get to live another day. So again, I'm answering this question because it was asked. I am not a big fan of teaching girls how to become strikeout pitchers because you can probably count on one hand the number of pitchers in the country who you would consider to be primarily strikeout pitchers. Pitch to contact. Contact where you want the ball to go. Contact as a result of you hitting your spots, changing quadrants, changing speeds, keeping hitters off balance. That's what's going to make you an effective pitcher. So Riseball, drop ball, flip a coin. But if you're not throwing the ball at 64, 65, 66, 67 miles an hour, I would maintain that a Riseball will never be effective enough to make you a strikeout pitcher with that pitch. Whereas a drop ball thrown well at 59, 60, 61 miles an hour may very well do that. And if I am throwing a good drop ball, the hitters that I'm going against have to get down to that ball to drive it, as opposed to just standing here and hitting a pitch that, if you're throwing a really good Riseball at 68 miles an hour, that's going to be a tough pitch to hit. And you're likely to get strikeouts with it. But my position is focus on pitching. Focus on making the ball move in all quadrants. Focus on changing speed, and you will be a more effective pitcher. I hope that this has been useful. If you're a drop ball pitcher, if you're a Riseball pitcher, I would love to hear from you. What is your experience? Why do you primarily throw one pitch over another? And how effective is it for you? Talk to you next time.